What's good with your fam? Welcome to Big Faces World.
I gotta go, I'm not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me,
You better not duck me, son. You better not duck me, son.
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. We don't want nobody in the way while we run. And that's all she wrote.
Welcome to Big Faces Worldwide. It's your guy Big Will, when I'm back with this boxing talk. What's good with your fam? What's going on with your man? Hey, listen, I want to wish all my subscribers, I want to wish everybody tuning in a happy holidays, man. Me, myself, I was able to sneak away for a second, man, to drop a quick video. You know, boxing's always on my brain, man, and I wanted to talk about Jermall Charlo calling out Danny Jacobs. Now, this past Saturday night, we all know that Jermall Charlo was in a fight with Matvey Korobov, where he won a unanimous decision. A lot of people, including myself, believes that, you know, the scorecards may have been a little wider than the fight actually was. I think the fight was a lot closer than the scorecards led on, man. But nonetheless, the right guy won the fight, man. And at the post-press conference, Jermall Jacobs had this to say about fighting Danny Jacobs.
There's a lot of politics going on, but man, it's time to politic a little bit. I want Jacobs. Yeah, I want Jacobs next. I'm gonna try my hardest to make this fight happen. I don't give a shit what they talking about. Look, I want them to think I want them to think that I was vulnerable, or you know, it was a little flaw in my game. But I fought a real tough guy yesterday. We ain't running from nobody. We ain't dodging nobody. Like, yeah, that's what my next goal is, to get that Jacobs fight. Because I already know Canelo and Golovkin and each other they got like 3 on the road or whatever. You know, Canelo might be fighting whoever in May, but I'll be back in the ring before them. So
those were the words of Jermall Charlo, man. He says that he's going to try everything in his power to make that Daniel Jacobs fight, man. Now, we all know Daniel Jacobs fought not too long ago. He won the IBF vacant middleweight title. He went up against Sergey Derevchenko, man. But, you know, that whole fight week, he was talking about Jermall Charlo and how Jermall Charlo has not mentioned his name since they had that run-in. I believe it was the Barclays when they was in the basement or something in the hallway, and Jermall Charlo was doing interviews, and the guys was asking him about Danny Jacobs, you know what I mean? So he was giving his opinion on what he thought about Danny Jacobs, and just so happened who pops up other than Danny Jacobs, man. And Danny Jacobs stepped to him like a man should step to somebody that you know he heard was talking shit, and asked him about it, man. And you know, and words were exchanged, man. And you know, now everybody wants to see that fight. A lot of people think that Danny Jacobs kind of punked Jermall Charlo, man. But you know, I don't see it that way at all, man. Jermall Charlo, you know, he conducted himself, you know, the way he was through the whole interview, man. He was just cool, calm, and collective, you know what I mean? Said what he had to say. Danny Jacobs said what he had to say, you know what I mean? But after that incident, Danny Jacobs said that Jermall Charlo has not mentioned his name since, you know what I'm saying? So he said that he has tamed the lion, you know? Danny Jacobs has been quoted saying that he wants that fight. So will we get this fight in 2019? Will we get this fight next? That's the big question, man. I know for a fact that Danny Jacobs is pushing real hard for Canelo Alvarez fight, even after, you know, Canelo Alvarez fought Rocky Fielding at Madison Square Garden last week. Danny Jacobs and Eddie Hearn, they were in the ring. You know, they were in there respectful, you know, wasn't no disrespect going on. Canelo acknowledged them, went over and dapped them up, you know what I mean, and shit like that. But, you know, they were there to make a statement that they want to fight with Canelo, you know what I'm saying? But should Daniel Jacobs not get the fight with Canelo, I think that him and Jermall Charlo will make a hell of a good matchup, man. I think their styles would create a very good matchup, man. And at this point, you know what I'm saying, I don't know who wins. I cannot pick a winner in that fight. I got to admit, Danny Jacobs has not looked very good in his last couple fights, although he did look very good against Sergey Derevyanchenko. I think that was the best Danny Jacobs that I have ever seen, especially recently, man. Danny Jacobs was superb in a very tough fight against a very tough guy, man. Let's look at Danny Jacobs' box rec, man, and just take a look at his resume. Now, Danny Jacobs is 35-2 with 29 KOs. You know what I mean? That's 29 knockouts out of 35 wins, man. That's very impressive. That's a 78% knockout percentage. We know his first loss came against Matvey Korobov. That was back in 2010. That was right around the time, right after that fight, he found out he had cancer. You know what I'm saying? And people has been speculating that may be the reason why he got knocked out, man. But Matvey Korobov was a very good fighter, man. He was undefeated at the time. He was 16-0. And he was calling out everybody at the time, man. He wanted all the best fighters, you know what I'm saying? He didn't care about, where you were from, you know what I mean? He was a, Eastern European fighter, like right now, most of the Eastern European fighters, they say they don't want to fight each other, this and that. But this guy, Korobov, he wanted to show that he was the best, man. And, you know what I'm saying? And his style dictated that, man. He was a beast in the ring, man. Something happened to his back, man, where, he's no longer fighting, man. But Korobov was a good fighter, man. Real stiff competition. But he ended up knocking Danny Jacobs out, man, and he got that victory. But Danny Jacobs' last 4 opponents have been real good fights, man. They all were undefeated. Sergey Derevyanchenko, he was undefeated, 12-0. Danny Jacobs beat him by a split decision. We see the guy, Matvey Korobov. Although Danny Jacobs didn't look good in that fight at all, man. You know what I'm saying? And, we as fans, we got the tendency to, create this certain type of expectation of fighters, you know what I'm saying, that when they have a tough fight, we automatically say that they got exposed. You know what I'm saying? So, Korobov gave Danny Jacobs a very, very good fight. Danny Jacobs were able to hurt him late in the fight. He dropped him, you know what I mean? But up until that point, man, Korobov was giving him the business. Korobov was fighting real good, man. He was answering everything that Danny Jacobs was giving out, you know what I mean? And some people was saying after that fight that Danny Jacobs got exposed. You know what I'm saying? Before that, he fought undefeated Luis Arias. You know what I'm saying? And he got the unanimous decision versus Arias. I believe that, had Arias came to fight, Danny Jacobs could have possibly knocked him out, man. But to me, in my opinion, Arias was just there not to be knocked out, man. And it's hard to knock a guy out when when a guy's fighting not to be knocked out. But Arias did, he did some things in that fight. But Danny Jacobs basically dictated the pace, and he didn't look spectacular in the fight, but he got the unanimous decision. You know what I mean? And he got the victory. And before that fight, he went up against Triple G, man. And we all know how that fight went. Triple G hurt Danny Jacobs early in the fight, dropped him. Danny Jacobs was able to overcome the knockdown and get up, and fight his heart out. You know what I mean? What many say was his best performance ever. A lot of people say that Triple G performance took a lot out of Danny Jacobs and that Danny Jacobs will never be the same. I don't agree with that because, I think the fight with Derevyanchenko, proved that Jacob still could fight, man. He still got the goods. But one thing that concerns me about Danny Jacobs is his stamina, man. It seems like late in the fight, he gets a little fatigued. You know what I'm saying? I know this last camp that, where he won the title, the vacant IBF title when he fought Derevyanchenko, he was up there with Victor Conti at the snack facilities, man. So he had all access to all these very good high-tech supplements. He has all this equipment, you know what I'm saying? All this high-tech things that the snack facility is known for. Victor Conti, you know what I'm saying? We all know the story with him. He has Chris Algieri as his nutritionist. Chris Algieri got a degree in that field, man. So he had all the benefits of, to be in 100% shape, man. But, these last couple fights, man, those last 4 fights that I named, against those 4 undefeated fighters, in each of those fights, late in the fight, Danny Jacobs, in my opinion, became fatigued. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I think he needs to work on, man. Let's take a look at Jermall Charlo's box rec, man. We all know Jermall Charlo. He is what now? He's 28-0 with 21 knockouts, man. His last matchup, like I said, was against Matvey Korobov. He won a unanimous decision against him. The match before that, he fought Hugo Centeno. Hugo's, say what you want about Centeno, man. Centeno, he could box. You know what I'm saying? He's a good fighter. I wouldn't call him an elite fighter, but he's a good fighter, man. And Charlo was able to get him out of there in the second round, and he looked spectacular doing it, man. And then before that, he fought Julian Williams, man. Julian Williams, J-Rock, we all know, can box, man. And before the knockdown, Charlo ended up knocking him out in the 5th round. But up until that point, it was good action, man. It was tick for tack action. Some people say that J-Rock was winning the fight, man. But nevertheless, he was in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Before that Julian Williams fight, he fought Austin Trout. He ended up getting a unanimous decision against Austin Trout. But he didn't steamroll over Austin Trout. Austin Trout's a very crafty veteran. You know what I'm saying? But if I was to look at resumes, man, I would say that Danny Jacobs definitely got the better resume, man. He fought guys like Peter Quillen, Sergio Mora. Now these guys may not be elite fighters, but they are good, solid, stiff competition. Caleb Truax, Ishe Smith. You know what I'm saying? So I think Danny Jacobs definitely have the edge as far as resume and experience. You know what I mean? But as far as explosiveness and power, I would give the edge to Charlo. You know what I mean? I think it would be a really good matchup, man. A lot of people say that Jermall Charlo got exposed Saturday night against Korobov, man. And I hate when people say that. Korobov, ain't no slouch. Wasn't no slouch, man. He lost one fight against Andy Lee, man, and we all know Andy Lee has a real powerful left hook. And up until that point, man, it was a very good fight that I think Korobov was winning, and Andy Lee just happened to catch him, which he's done many a times. Andy Lee has been losing plenty of fights where he has come back and caught his opponent with that hard left hook, man, and got him out of there, man. So Matt Korobov wasn't no scrub, man. He wasn't no guy to be taken lightly, man. And then you got to take in the fact that Jermall Charlo's brother just lost. That was on his mind. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just, we all are human, man. Things affect us, man. And that could have played a part into Korobov having a whole lot of success. You know what I mean? But Jermall Charlo definitely has to work on some things. He has to work on better head movement, man. Every time that he would throw his jab, when he would pull his arm back, Korobov was catching him with that straight left hand. You know what I mean? He need to make adjustments for that. When he throw his jab, he need to move out of the way. He need to turn instead of standing there. And Korobov was able to catch him every single time. I never seen a fight that Jermall Charlo was in where he was hit so many times. He was hit so flush, and that, he was tested, But as you step up in competition, you are going to be tested. And that's what us as fight fans has to realize, man. It's not that, a fighter has been exposed as so much as the fighter has been tested. And that's what we want to see. We want to see competitive fights. We don't want to see a fighter just go in there and steamroll everybody, man. And the Charlo brothers as a whole, man, they had this persona, that they would just go in there and steamroll everybody, because that's what they have been doing. They have been going in there barking loud and roaring loud, because they lions, roaring loud and knocking out everybody or punishing everybody or being very, very aggressive and winning with that style. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as they go up against a guy that's giving them some resistance, automatically we assume that they have been exposed. No, they haven't been exposed. They just went up against some guys who's on a different level than the guys that they were fighting previously. You know what I mean? Jermall Charlo got the win. And that's what matters. You know what I'm saying? Did he deserve to win? Absolutely. Was one of them scorecards a little wider than we would have liked to be? Absolutely. But nonetheless, he got the win. You know what I mean? So hopefully we can see Danny Jacobs and Jermall Charlo get it on, man. I think right now that's a 50-50 fight. I do think that before Saturday night, I would have gave the edge to Jermall Charlo. I have to admit that. Before that fight, I was one of those guys that looked at Jermall Charlo as invincible. You know what I'm saying? I got caught up in the hype. I'm human. I get caught up in the hype. I'm a fan too. I get caught up in the hype. I get caught up in a fighter walking around talking shit. Going in the ring, backing it up. Being aggressive, going after his opponent with no fear. You know what I'm saying? I get caught up in that, man. And and Korobov, brought me back down to reality that, boxing is boxing. And there is two guys that's in there to fight. You know what I'm saying? And you're not going to be able to steamroll everybody. You're not going to be able to knock everybody out. That aggressive style is not going to work with everybody. So Jermall Charlo got to go in his repertoire and have a plan B. If that aggressive style is not working, you know what I mean? You got to be able to box. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able, sometimes you have to work off your back foot. Sometimes you have to go in and out, side to side. You know what I mean? It's not just always coming forward, because that's not going to win fights. You know what I'm saying? Triple G for years, he was known as this devastating, just go out there and punish you. But as we seen in a Canelo fight, Triple G has more to his repertoire than just walking you down and just trying to destroy you, man. Triple G actually showed that he can box. You know what I'm saying? He worked off the outside. A lot of people say that, Canelo was walking him down, but you got to ask yourself, did Triple G's back ever touch the ropes? You know what I'm saying? Was he ever in a corner where Canelo Alvarez caught him in a corner and just start wailing away? No, because Triple G knew how to box. He knew how to circle around Canelo. He knew how to keep the action where he wanted to keep it. You know what I'm saying? Although Canelo was doing being more aggressive than Triple G. Triple G had a plan B, man, and that's what Jermall Charlo, they got to implement in their game, man, and I think they can do it. I think they got it, because I've seen them do it before, especially Jermall Charlo. I've seen him fight off the back foot. I've seen him box before. You know what I'm saying? Especially the fight with Gabe Rosado. You know, go back and watch that fight. That was a very good fight, man. And Jermall Charlo boxed exceptionally, man. He was off the back foot. He was aggressive at times. You know what I mean? He was in and out. He was side to side. And that's what you need. But I think lately, you know what I mean, he started to believe his own hype that he must go in there and destroy everybody. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he tried to do Saturday night against Tony Harrison, man. And you know, he wasn't successful, man. But the topic of discussion is Jermall Charlo versus Danny Jacobs, man. Hopefully we'll get that fight in 2019. Who knows? We may even get it on the Earl Spence Mikey Garcia undercard. I know Jermall Charlo has specified that, you know, he would love to fight on that card. You know, I'm gonna do a video about what I think about Jermall and Tony Harrison, and you know, this rematch clause. I'm gonna do a video about that because we all know that Jared Hurd beat Erislandy Lara. Lara was the champion for years, and I'm sure Lara had a rematch clause, but he still hasn't gotten his rematch. So will Jermall even get his rematch? We don't know. We'll have to see. But let me get back upstairs, man, to my family, man, before they notice I'm gone. But this is Big Will for Big Faces Worldwide. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can be notified when I'm dropping more videos. Again, happy holidays from my family to yours. Peace.